kind of feeling it. I'm kind of feeling it. It's not one of the best colours on me, but it's all right because it's going on my legs and it's not near my face. So I think we can get away with that. But I think the way that I picked up for the sleeves wasn't very good. Is it just boring? Is it? It's not a sensible grey jumper, it's a boring grey jumper. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. My name is Jen. Welcome to my home. I really like making stuff. I like sewing stuff. I like knitting stuff. And I don't know about you, but the people in my normal real life are a bit sick of hearing about it, frankly. And I thought maybe there would be people on the internet that would like to chat with me all about that stuff. So here I am. I think today, as a bit of an introduction, we'll go for one of those sew and tell knitting podcast type things. I'll show you a few things that I've finished, a few things that I am currently in the process of making, and a few future plans. Might need a bit of help with some of those, and we'll see how we get on. So first thing that I have recently finished, I have worn it out of the house already. It's one of my favourite ever makes. It's probably the most well-made knitted item I have made so far. I've only been knitting a couple of years, still consider myself quite new to it, but I love it. And I love this. Oh. Now, it looks pretty huge. It kind of is. It's supposed to be oversized. I'm still getting used to this whole oversized thing. I grew up in the 90s when everything had to be skin tight. But these days I like to be a bit more comfortable. Now I'm knocking on the door of 40. So this is a sort of sleeveless slip over type jumper scenario, which is called the Coccon Chokki. Coccon Chokki? I don't know. It's by a Japanese designer by the name of, let me just check, Noriko Ichikawa. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This is supposed to be knit in a DK weight yarn, but at 18 stitches per 10 centimetres, I thought I might be able to get away with it in a Aran weight yarn, which is what I did. And I love it. It's kind of rustic feeling. It is brilliant for going over shirts that I've made, long sleeve tops, that kind of thing. That's what I wanted. My husband doesn't get the whole jumper without sleeves thing, but sod him, I'm gonna make them because I like them. It's got a really nice kind of big mock neck situation. Really big mock neck situation, and it's got really nice ribbed sections that you actually knit as you're going along with it. So you don't have to apply those afterwards. You do with the neckline. I'm not sure I'm completely happy with how I picked up the stitches, but I did my best. It was one of my first times doing that. And it's got these really deep armholes that come down super low, which actually means that you can wear a variety of different shirts, tops, whatever. Underneath it, you could wear like batwing sleeves if you wanted to under this. I'll put some pictures in of me wearing it so you can see it a bit better, because this thing is so huge and snuggly, it's going to be difficult to see on the screen. Now, so far, all the things that I have knitted in my 2 years of knitting have all been made out of acrylic yarns. Now, there are several reasons for that, which I will probably go into in a future video, but I quite like acrylic yarn, and I'm not a fan of wool. I am quite keen to try some like plant fibres, cotton, that sort of thing, but at the moment I am exclusively acrylic knitting. And I have discovered that acrylics are not made equal, guys. there are some nice ones. There's some scratchy ones. There's some really squeaky ones. There's things that are better for garments. There's things that aren't. I'm really happy with my choice for this one. Not only did it make the finished item look quite like the picture, which I don't normally do. I don't normally go for what the pattern suggests in terms of colours and things, but I wanted a nice neutral that would suit me. So I wanted sort of beigey creamy, but beige and cream don't suit me. I've got cool undertones, but this is sort of a mild heathered kind of effect. And there's quite a lot of like cooler tones in there, like greys and things. So this is the yarn that I used. This is what I've got left out of 500-gram balls. And you can see that it's quite kind of mottledy. And this is from the Stylecraft Highland Heathers range. This is the Highland Heathers Aran weight. And I did find that it knit up to the 18 stitches to 10 centimetres pretty well for me. I can't remember the needle size, but always swatch. And I did swatch, and I had to try a few different needle sizes, but I got it bang on in the end and knitted the size that was suggested for my measurements. Can't remember what size that was, but obviously everybody's different. Do it to your measurements if you want to make this. It has a lot of positive ease. It's really quite big and roomy, which is what I wanted. I wanted something that I could just chuck on over anything and I'd sort of look effortlessly cool. So hopefully that's the effect that we are achieving. Really like this yarn. I like the look of it. It's really quite soft. It's nice. It doesn't have that plasticky, squeaky feel, but I did find it really splitty. So as much as I would like to concentrate on the TV while I'm knitting and the yards and yards of stockinette that was included in this project, I wasn't really able to do that because I just kept splitting the yarn as I was knitting. So I kind of had to concentrate quite a lot, which I don't mind because it's sort of like that mindful activity thing. But just a warning if you want to try this yarn. Now, I've got nearly a whole ball left. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe a hat, possibly a hat. Might be able to squeeze a pair of mittens out of it. Not sure, but I really like the overall effect of it, even if the yarn was splitty as a mother. But I'm really proud of it. I think it looks handmade, not homemade, which is what I like. And it goes with lots of things in my wardrobe. As my channel name suggests, I really like wearing a shirt. I'm wearing a shirt today. This is the Callie shirt, by the way, by Closet Core Patterns. I have a lot of long sleeve shirts that I like to wear with like the sleeves rolled up, and having a warm layer to chuck on over those with a pair of jeans, trousers, whatever, is just my kind of vibe. So really pleased with this one. I would probably make another one in another colour. The pattern was great. The instructions were great. The end item, I think, looks a little bit trendy, quite stylish, and love it. So, success. Next thing that I finished recently was a sewing project, and the sewers amongst you will have heard of this one. I didn't quite get on it to be part of the Pogonip party, but I made a Pogonip. Now, the Pogonip is by the Friday Pattern Company. It's a lovely pattern. You can make it out of woven fabric or knitted fabric. I made it out of knitted and woven fabrics, and these were actually all fabrics that were rescued from my scraps bin. Not bin, the larger scraps I don't keep in a bin. I used this rather nice quilted jersey. Well, it's thicker than a jersey. It's kind of like a French terry, but it's like got a quilted effect. I have got a sweatshirt made completely out of this, but I find it a bit sweaty because it's got polyester in it. But I still wear it all the time, and I had quite a lot left. So I had enough of that for the whole back section and at least half of the front section and a sleeve. Then this black fabric, probably hard to show black fabric on the screen. Sorry, there's fluff all over this. Is a kind of textured sweater knit. Can't remember where it was originally from. I made a cardigan out of it years ago. And again, had enough to form the basis of this. It's a really nice pattern. I liked it because, again, it's a bit oversized, it's comfy. I was looking for something that I could chuck on when we were camping that was going to be warm in the evenings, and I quite like the idea of having something that was quite high at the neck. It's got like this really big, quite tall, wide, comfortable neckline, and I did mine with poppers. You can do it with buttons. Kind of placket situation. And in the pattern instructions, there's lots of nice little details. It's got welt pockets. I didn't do welt pockets. I've not done a welt pocket yet. I've been sewing since I was about 10 and I have yet to attempt a welt pocket. That needs to be on my list of things to do. I felt like first welt pocket out of a knit fabric, probably not the best idea. So I didn't do that. What I did instead is I fashioned a sort of kangaroo pocket thing by sort of redrafting that bottom lower pattern piece and doing that out of one of the fabrics, and then at the back lined it with some black jersey fabric inside that I had for the back section of the pocket. I wanted it thin at the back so it wasn't too bulky overall around my middle, because nobody needs extra bulk there if they can help it. And then on the edge of the pockets and the placket and the neckline and the ends of the sleeves, which have a little bit of give, a little bit of elastic in, and the bottom of the entire thing, they were all done with leftovers from a rather lovely dark bottle green corduroy that I had a fair amount of leftovers of after making some trousers with that. So this was a pretty successful make. Have worn it. The only thing I would say if you're making this pattern, follow the instructions better than I did, because you'll see I sort of did a construction that I was like already familiar with. I overlocked the edges of this, didn't have any dark green overlocking thread. I just did it with sort of a grey that I thought would like blend in with stuff. And I only realised once it was all sewn up that if I leave the placket section open, you end up seeing that overlocking as it opens up, which is not the best, because it looks a bit like showing your insides, doesn't it? In the pattern, I then discovered when I went back and read it properly that that back section of the placket, when you fold it over, is supposed to be folded in on itself and just top stitched like from the front side, or stitch in the ditch, or whatever you want to do. I top stitched it all neatly. It looks great from the front. Look at that, it's lovely. Lovely, love the poppers, really happy with that. And then I have to wear it done up to the top, otherwise I get that effect, which is not the best. But for my first go at that, I'm pretty chuffed with it, and I would probably make another one. It's a good one. Love it. My final finished recent object is another knitting project. My knitting mojo has been high recently, so been knitting quite a lot. This, unlike previous Coccon Chokki thing, was a super quick knit because it's made out of super bulky yarn, which I've never used before. I'm not sure I'll ever use it again, to be honest. The big fat 8mm needles kind of hurt my hands quite a lot. And I was just desperate to get it finished because I wanted to get back on small needles, which are more comfortable for me to zipping along. But I actually love the finished item. Let's put it on so you can see. Not very appropriate indoors, This is a pretty big scarf. It's called the Entwine Scarf. I think that's right, let me check. Yes, the Entwine Scarf by Jane Richmond. I'll pop a few details on the screen. It's lovely. How gorgeous are the photos on the pattern on Ravelry? That's what sold it to me. Look at her hair and the colour of the scarf. I could never wear that colour. It would make me look like I was sick. I went for a neutral. Again, not usually into neutrals, but this year seemed to be wanting like cosy neutral things for winter and autumn and things. Pattern was great. It's quite a short pattern, being a scarf pattern, and you just repeat the same design over and over and over again, and then you add these lovely tassels at the end. I don't know whether her yarn was fatter than my yarn, but I actually, instead of doing 2 repeats of the pattern across, I did 3. And you can see it's got rather nice, just get it to focus. It's got a rather nice slip stitch pattern. So you get these rather big, sort of extra large knit stitches as you go along. And I'd not done anything quite like that before. But I quite like a slip stitch. Sort of feels like cheating because you're not knitting it or purling it. I think it came out really nice. Now, because I did 3 repeats rather than 2 across the width of the scarf in order to make it as big and fat and snuggly as I wanted, I actually didn't have enough yarn. I bought 2 balls of this super bulky stuff from the local yarn shop. Again, acrylic, we'll explain that in a future video. Thinking that it was enough according to the pattern instructions, but then of course I got the pattern and I started swatching and stuff, and she recommends 10mm needles. I did it on 8mm because I think this yarn was not quite as bulky as the one that the designer used. And I ended up having to buy another ball, but I knew in my local yarn shop that they didn't have any more because I got the last 2 balls of it. So I went on to Wool Warehouse, hashtag not sponsored by Wool Warehouse. And it's great on Wool Warehouse because you can choose the dye lot that you want your yarn to come from. And luckily they had the same dye lot. Now, I don't know whether dye lots really matter with acrylic that are like mass produced products. It might not, but I thought to stay on the safe side, I don't want a third of my scarf looking the wrong colour. So I bought 1 more ball because I sort of calculated from how long it had got to by the end of the second ball, how much more I needed, and kind of calculated how long I might want my tassels and how many of them, so that I could buy the right amount. And it was only 1 more ball, so 3 balls, and I've got this lovely chunky scarf, which I think looks really expensive, and it's squishy and lovely. And one of the great things, and why it's good to do this in acrylic, is that this is a scarf that they recommend in the pattern that you don't block it, because the blocking can apparently just squish down that lovely texture of the slip stitches and things. So I didn't block it, didn't need to. I kind of like the concertina-ness that it gives it. It's kind of really stretchy and squishy. I think it's going to go with like every coat I have and future coats that I'm planning to make. And just a bit about the yarn. I don't have any more of this. I literally used every scrap of the 3 balls to make this. But I will stick some details of the yarn up on the screen. I think it was another Stylecraft one. This video is not sponsored by Stylecraft acrylic yarns, but I really like them. They sell a huge range of them in a yarn shop that's local to me, and they feel really nice. I don't think they feel plasticky, acrylic-y like some of the kind of cheapy acrylics do, but they're really reasonably priced. So I got this lovely scarf for a really good price, and I love it. I love all these things I've made. I've done quite well recently. So, on to some stuff that's in progress that I'm quite excited about. First thing again, it's quite neutral. I'm in my neutral era. This is a sewing project. It's for a shirt. You'll know I like a shirt by now because I've just spoken about it earlier. It's for a shirt, and I cut out all the pieces over a year ago, and they've sat nicely in a little stack in my sewing room upstairs, waiting to be made. And then I didn't get a chance over last winter, and then I didn't want to be knitting a thick flannel wintry shirt in the summer when I wanted to be making nice summer dresses and stuff for nice weather. But I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to get this finished. You can see, got all my pieces all cut out. I've got the collar pieces. I've got everything all ready to go. I just need to sew it together. I've even got a little packet of buttons that I picked out from the button stash. So I've decided on everything. I know the thread, I know everything's set aside for it. It's just been sat in a pile on the sewing desk, waiting for me to do something with it. And I'm going to make one of my old favourites, which is the Byrdie Button-up. It's by Pattern Scout, and I've made several of this pattern. It's a really versatile pattern. It's got a long-sleeved, kind of regular, normal, long-sleeved classic shirt. Also has a really gorgeous kind of tuck front, almost like tuxedo front option, which can either stop at the waist, but sometimes I take it down, right down to the bottom of the shirt if I'm making a shirt version. It's also got a dress version, and it's really versatile. You can make loads of things with this. It's got 2 different sleeve options, but I've actually cut it off and done a short sleeve version as well as long sleeved versions. And when I first made it, I did toile it because I thought I want a really banging awesome shirt pattern that fits me really well. So I toiled it, and I discovered it was at that point in my sewing journey that I discovered I have wide shoulders. I always make it longer. I always add at least 2 inches to any sleeve because I've got some big octopus arms. And I did my first wide shoulder adjustment, which I've done on many, many patterns since because the girl's got shoulders. So this version is going to be made out of this super gorgeous grey flannel fabric. Let me see if I can show you. It's really drapey. And this is not just any old brush cotton that you make pyjamas out of. This was quite expensive. I think it was a... couldn't tell you who it was by, but it was one of them sort of nicer fabric designers. It's probably not available anymore. I've probably had it 3 years. Just need to thread up the sewing machine with thread in the right colour, and we're ready to go. Next thing that needs finishing is a bit embarrassing. I had a load of scraps left over after several knitting projects. There was like a scarf I made for my mum for a present. There was a jumper, a colourwork jumper sweater that I made for myself. And all of these colours didn't really necessarily go together. But I thought I kind of wanted to try a sort of Doctor Who style scarf. Stripy scarf. I really like the Doctor Who type vibe because the stripes are all different widths. Widths. But I wanted to do Doctor Who, but not as long, and also a bit more structured because I quite like a structured scarf. And for the structuredness of it, I sort of just came up with this myself. It wasn't from a pattern or anything because it's knitting a scarf, you knit backwards and forwards. I knitted backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards in linen stitch for this, which is really nice. It's another stitch that incorporates slip stitches, but you get a really amazing woven texture with it that almost looks like a woven fabric as opposed to a knitted one. And this is my scarf. Can we all just, I'm calling this a work in progress. because I haven't woven in all my ends. Can we all just appreciate the travesty that is this amount of ends to weave in? I mean, it looks a mess. But if we can just for a moment imagine what this is going to look like when the ends are woven in, I'm kind of feeling it. I'm kind of feeling it. I don't think you're going to really get the right effect of all those lovely colours, because it's so endy weavy in, not done. But I actually love that all the colours kind of don't really go together. I think it's gonna be a bit of a statement. I like how I did the stripe placement. I basically just kind of went for it, and when I felt like changing to another colour, changed to another colour, kept going, and then the red stripes kind of really stand out because they were knit in a different weight yarn. So this was all Aran weight yarns. I couldn't tell you where they were all from because they were just stuff that was left in the stash. They're all Aran weight apart from the red, which is bulky weight. So I just went across every so often as like a highlight with that bulkier yarn, just one row across, and I think it created quite a nice effect. Like you can feel that it's a bit raised above the rest of the pattern where I've done those red stripes, and once all the ends are woven into the back nice and neatly, it's going to be awesome. I just need to get on with it. So once finish, I'm gonna make a pact now. Next time I record a video, this is going to be done. My last in progress type thing, I need some help with. It's been in progress for a while. The state of the yarn ball should tell you that I've been on the struggle bus with this yarn. I really have. It's a lovely dark grey colour, just the sort of thing that I would wear, just the thing that I would have a hat or a scarf or anything made out of. I really quite like it. But I don't know whether it's the texture of the yarn or what, but this has now been knitted up into, this is the third thing I've made with this yarn. The previous two items have been frogged. And this yarn, I couldn't tell you what like brand it is. It's actually, when I first started knitting a couple of years ago, my mum, to sort of help get me going with it, while I was still practicing and very new to it, bought a load of super affordable yarn from Aldi, in like a pack of 4 balls. DK weight, acrylic. You can tell that it's kind of cheapy acrylic, but it's not too bad considering it came from like a discount supermarket. But this has been a cable knit scarf, which I think I was a bit new to cabling, and this scarf had so many complicated cables in it for like the entire length of it that about a third of the way in, I got really bored of doing the same pattern over and over again, and I don't think I was quick enough at cables to make it zip along fast enough. So it just kind of like sat there for 6 months, and I thought I need to do something else with this yarn because this scarf is just not happening. So I frogged that, and then this became the second colour, like the contrast colour in a 2-colour colourwork, sort of colourwork yoke jumper, which was going really well. Also, I thought, until I tried the yoke on when I got halfway down it, and this thing was far too small. And it turned out my gauge was just entirely off on the colourwork section. I went up a needle size, I did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do, and I have made a colourwork jumper before, but it didn't work. I had to frog that, and it was hours and hours and hours of work, and I was a bit gutted. And I thought I could try and do that jumper again and start again, but by that point I sort of hated it a little bit. So decided to make something else. And now this is becoming another jumper that I don't think I'm gonna like. So I don't know whether to persevere with it or whether you're going to tell me to just frog it and put the yarn away and do something else for a little bit. I'm making, this is how far I've got with it. On the top bit of the body, front and back, and then I sort of like the yarn ball ran out, so I started on a sleeve. And this is the Petite Knit Stockholm Sweater. And I'm not really, I don't buy mohair, so I'm not really a mohair girl. And I know there's mohair included in the recommended yarn for this pattern. But I'm not really kind of into the fluffy look. I wanted something quite clean looking. So I thought nice, sensible grey DK yarn would make a very nice sensible jumper. Sensible grey jumper, I was calling it. And I thought it's going to go with everything. I can put it on jeans. I could wear it with something smart. Nice, sensible grey jumper goes with everything. That's what I'm going to do with this yarn. It's going to have a home. Anyway, I don't know, I think the way that I picked up for the sleeves wasn't very good. Is it just boring? It's not a sensible grey jumper. It's a boring grey jumper. I'm just not loving making it. So as soon as I started making other stuff, like my big chunky scarf and the Cocoon sleeveless jumper thing, this went on the back burner, and now I'm thinking, do I have to frog it for the third time? This bloody yarn. And I'm a northerner by birth, and I don't like wasting stuff. And as much as the yarn probably just needs to go back in the stash for a while, I'm kind of desperate to use it for something because I don't want to waste it. I don't know should I carry on with this? I don't even know if it fits yet. I mean, I'm assuming it does. It kind of looks like it's going to. Let's have a look. I mean, I haven't even got to boob level. And with my... Sleeve Island is real for me, guys, because I have such long arms. I mean, that's not even to the elbow yet. I just don't know. Tell me whether I should frog it or not, or whether I just need to carry on and make the sensible grey jumper. Please advise. Thank you. Now, the last thing that's in progress is just... I love it so much. It's actually not a garment to wear, it's a blanket. I did think I had a couple of different things saved in Ravelry. The first one was the Saguaro Sunset Afghan, and it's just gorgeous. It's got all these like cacti on it, and there's sort of like the darker colour, the silhouetted effect of the cacti, and then you use like a colour changing variegated yarn to do the kind of sunsetty background. And I thought I might do a sort of like more nighttime scape version with a colour changing yarn that perhaps went with the colours in our lounge, because this is going to be my new sofa blanket for the living room, which is the room that you can see here. So we've got like, there's green, there's blue stuff, and greys and stuff, and I thought, oh, if I could find the right colour changing yarn. Anyway, I showed my husband a picture of it, and he was like, what, in the lounge, really? And he wasn't keen on the idea. And although he doesn't use a blanket, he does have to look at me using it a lot, and it wasn't really to his taste. When I showed him that pattern, he was like, I'm not sure it really goes in our house. So I had to think again. And then I found one that I knew he would like because it was geometric patterns. And I went for the Mosaic Triangles blanket. You can see it is a two-tone blanket that you could do in all sorts of different colours. There's only 3 other projects on Ravelry that have made this blanket, but I really loved it. And I saw that it was mosaic knitting, which I haven't done before. But of course, it's a nice way of colour work where you only have to hold one colour at a time for each row. And then it kind of sorts out all the kind of floats at the back for you as you're knitting along with it. So you don't have to worry about the backside looking weird, which for a blanket is quite important because you're going to really be able to see both sides, aren't you? So I decided to make this, but instead of just doing it in 2 colours, which is what my husband wanted for the living room, I decided to do it in 5. And here they are. So we've got a couple of different blues, lovely kind of rusty orange, which is a colour that I can't wear in clothing. So I thought it would be nice to use that sort of colour for something that wasn't going to make me look ill, but still be able to use nice kind of autumnal warm colour. There's a kind of like greigey beige colour. It's looking a bit more cream on here, but it's kind of like a very light greigey beige, and then a nice sort of ferny green. These again are acrylic. Now this is, I think, probably a cheaper one. This is Hayfield Bonus Aran. I had to buy so much of this to make a giant blanket that I didn't want to buy anything more expensive because I thought it's not going to be like right next to my skin. It's an accessory for the lounge. I reckon I can make this stuff look classy without spending much money. And as it turns out, I still bought way too much of it because I didn't calculate things very well, apparently. The pattern calls for a lot of yardage or meterage. So for the big size blanket, pattern tells you need 4,115 meters of yarn. So that's split almost in two between the two different colours that the pattern suggests. Of course, I'm doing 5 colours. So I needed to work out how much of each one I needed. So I kind of planned out, I had a whole spreadsheet. I planned out where I was going to put the colours down the pattern of the blanket and tried to figure out how much I was going to need. Now I knew I'd have more than what was necessary because for some colours I kind of worked out that I needed like 3 and a bit, little bit balls. So I had to buy 4. So a couple of the colours I bought 4 balls, and then the other 3 colours I bought 3 of each. As it turns out, I am halfway through this blanket and I'm going to have well over a ball of each colour left. So I totally overbought by accident, and we're going to have to think of something else to make with the leftovers, which, given that this is kind of like a quite, I'd say it's like a practical acrylic yarn. It's not super soft and nice for garments, I wouldn't say. Although it's not like, I wouldn't say it's itchy or anything at all. It does feel slightly squeaky to knit with, but not too bad. I'm still really enjoying knitting it because I love all the colours and I think it's going to look great. And it's been quite addictive to knit. Like the pattern is quite memorable. I've been going and going and going on it. But I'm actually going to add some extra sections in the middle of the blanket, a couple of extra rows to like make the blanket a little bit longer, so it's even nicer to like snuggle under on the sofa. So the sofa blanket is in progress. Do you want to see it? It's so gorgeous. Okay. Again, there's going to be, because of course I decided to do lots of colours, there's going to be ends to weave in. Boo. We all know I'm not very good at that, apparently. But here it is so far. It looks so cool. And how good is it going to look in our lounge? Oh. So, I think it's working out really well. All the colours look really nice. As I said, I'm at the sort of very almost at the official halfway point, but what I'm going to do is add 2 more sections after this and then carry on with the rest of it, and the rest of it is then going to be like almost like the mirror image of the first section, so it all kind of ends up nice and symmetrical. That's why I'm adding a bit to the middle rather than more at the end, but I know I'm going to have enough yarn because I've done half the blanket and I've only just started on the second balls of things. I'm gonna have loads left over, but it didn't cost much in the first place, and that's great. I'm gonna be able to chuck it in the washing machine because it's acrylic. The texture of it is turning out really nice. It's like textured and squishy because the mosaic, because it's basically like a, I suppose with the, because you make the colour work with like a slip stitch pattern, but it's all knit stitches backwards and forwards, so it's basically like colour work in garter stitch, so it makes the final thing really squishy. I think it's going to be really warm, and I tell you what, it's going to be a real improvement on this, which is the disgusting, ratty, old IKEA blanket that it's replacing. This became known as the dog blanket in our house because, I mean, it's just kind of gross. I've had it 10 plus years. This has been the current sofa blanket up till this point. And now I've got a lovely new, bespoke, gorgeous, nicely made, much heavier, squishier, more luxurious blanket. I'm really excited. So let me know what you think of that one. This might take over as one of my most proud makes by the time I've finished it. I mean, it's a lot of knitting, a blanket. And I'm a tall person and I'm making it longer than it should be because I want a nice big blanket, and it's taken a while, but it's quite addictive because every so often you get to change what colours you're using. So I just want to knit and knit and knit on it. And it's one of the reasons why the sensible grey jumper has just been totally on the back burner. I haven't bothered with it because this is the thing of the moment. Love it. So I think that's like all the works in progress at the moment, but I've got a few plans. One knitting plan and a couple of sewing things that are going to be happening. So let me go and get my next pile of stuff for this show and tell, and we'll have a look together. All right, so first thing, sewing project. Again, I seem to be wanting to like use stuff up in the stash at the moment, and I'm gonna make a coat. So, bought this rather lovely woven coat fabric about 4-5 years ago, intending to make a really nice kind of tailored coat with lining and all the rest of it. I even bought this like thermal underlining stuff so I could make a really nice warm coat out of it. And I ordered it all at the same time from the same place. I think it was Minerva. And then when the fabric came, along with all the other stuff, the lining, everything else, the colour of the lining went really nice with the fabric. But this fabric, it's got a bit of give that I didn't think would work so well for a tailored coat. It's like a bit too givey and stretchy for its work. It's lovely checked sort of pattern. There's all sorts of colours in there. There's like turquoisey blue, red, a kind of nice royal blue. There's black, all sorts. Anyway, they're all colours that I really like wearing, that I think are colours that suit me. And this coat has been supposed to happen for years. And it's not, because it was all a bit stretchy. And then I was watching a video by Alex Judge Sews, I think it was, who made some lovely coats out of Starlark pattern. I can't remember what that pattern was, but Starlark have got a few sort of fairly similar ones that are for unlined coats that are more like a kind of smart coatigan type thing, I suppose, kind of like cardigan coat. It's not a fully lined tailored coat, but I think it's going to be much better for this type of fabric. This fabric is like, it's got quite a nice amount of drape to it, but it's really weighty. Like this is a bit of a beast. It's really heavy. And the thing that I'm going to make with it is the Stylark Petra Coat. I think this is really nice. I really like the collar of it. I love that it's got this kind of stepped split hem situation going on, which is like, I love all those interesting details on patterns. I also really like these kind of slanted skew-if pockets that it's got, and I'm going to add those at that angle, I think, because I think in the checked fabric that's going to look quite cool. So it's kind of like anti-pattern matching, isn't it? I sort of want the pockets to be off kilter, against the main fabric. So it really draws attention to that nice split hem and that the pockets are at a funky angle. I think that'll look really cool. So haven't cut it out, haven't even cut the pattern out yet. I've had it printed. So kind of ready to go with that, but I just need to get on with it. I know I'm going to struggle with this fabric a little bit because I remember, even though it was years ago, I remember having trouble with the overlocker. So before I pre-washed this, I overlocked all the edges. Mainly because I always do that with woven fabrics, so they don't all unravel in the washing machine. But also because this fabric, because it's quite, one of the reasons it's got all this give and stretch is that it's quite loosely woven. Like I can, holding it up in front of the light, I can actually see through little spots of it. It's made of quite thick threads woven together. So it means it frays so much. And I think but also overlocking it, didn't want to go through the overlocker very well. So I think I'm going to have to like do some fancy binding, like bias binding on all the internal seams, which is going to be a bit of a mission, but I think it will turn out really nice. And I'll let you know how I get on with that. I think I'm going to have to be very careful handling this as I go along. Because of the give, I don't want things to stretch. I did wonder whether, I'm going to have to stay stitch the neckline, that sort of thing, to stop it pulling out of shape. But I think I might have to stay stitch every single edge of every pattern piece before I sew it together, because I'm not going to be able to overlock it to stop the fraying. I need to try and stop the fraying, but I also need to stop it pulling out of shape as I'm making it. Otherwise it's just going to look a mess. So let me know what you think. Do I just go round with the machine and almost like stay stitch around every single piece just after I've cut it out to kind of stop the fray monster happening? Or do you think it's going to be okay? I don't know. We'll see how we go on with that. The challenges are part of the fun, right? Okay, the last thing is another thing that I might need some help with. And that is that I want to make a sort of nice, smart, casual pair of trousers that are like good for autumn, winter, going with like all my jumpers, nice shirts, that kind of thing. When I want to be a bit smarter than jeans, but not like dress smart. So bought a few fabrics recently. These were from Dalston Mill. You'll find them online. They have some really nice fabrics at good prices, but whenever I've ordered from them, the quality of them has been really nice. I've got clothes made out of things that I've bought from Dalston Mills that have lasted years and years already. So I'm always quite confident. Ordering from them is really good. They do the grams per square meter, is it? On the fabric, so you get an idea of like what the weight's going to be like, especially for something like ordering trouser fabric. That's really useful. So I ordered 3 different ones that I'm going to make 3 different pairs of trousers out of. Got a couple of meters of each, because a couple of meters is usually enough to make a nice pair of trousers for me. And one of them is very sensible grey again. That's this one. And it's a cotton twill. I think they call this the soft cotton chino twill or something. And this is the lightest weight of the fabrics that I've got. And it is fairly lightweight, but okay for a kind of not the coldest day, but a sort of just regular autumn winter type day. The grey is going to go with literally everything I own in my wardrobe. It's a very sensible choice. But it's lovely fabric. It's really nice. So my first pair of these trousers is going to either be out of that or out of this one. This is a kind of soft, I don't know what they called it, but it's like a soft mulberry wine colour. It's actually a bit lighter than it looked online, colour-wise. A little bit paler, a little bit more dusky grey tones in it, but I rather like it. I think, again, it's going to go with a lot of stuff that I have. It's not one of the best colours on me, but it's all right because it's going on my legs and it's not near my face. So I think we can get away with that. This is much more weighty a fabric. Again, it's a cotton twill. I think they might have called this drill, in fact. And this one's a bit stiffer, slightly more structured, but still going to be okay for some trousers, but it's not got an awful lot of drape, that one. And then the last one I got, this is a canvas fabric, and canvas is usually reserved for things like bags and homewares and stuff like that, but I've made trousers out of canvas fabric before and I've really liked them. So I got some navy blue canvas fabric. It's kind of on the lighter side of navy blue, I suppose. Texture's nice. This one is probably out of all of the fabrics. Let me just see if I can get one layer of it. Is that one layer or is that two? There we go. Yeah. This is the most structured and least drapey of the three fabrics that I've got. So there it is. Haven't even pre-washed these yet because they've only just arrived. But I need to decide which one to make some trousers out of first. I wanted kind of smartish looking, but also comfy. So first option, these are both French navy pants. The first one I've already made before, which is the Callier pants. There's like a flat front version and a pleat front version, but they've both got this nice elasticated waistband that comes right round the back and then a little bit round to the front, which is also where the pockets insert. So the pockets are brought forward from the side seams. And I made the pleaty front ones before, but I think I want to make the flat fronted ones because the pleat front ones, I don't know about you, but sometimes in pleat front trousers that have got lots of volume of fabric at the front, when I sit down, I sort of just feel like there's too much fabric going on there and I don't like it. And I feel like it looks weird. So I think I'm going to do the flat front version. That's the first choice. The second choice, let's just have a look at the name there. The Langston trousers. Again, it's another French navy pattern. I'm kind of into their patterns right now. This is quite a new one, I think, that they've brought out because I only saw it recently. And this one's got elasticated waist all the way around, so like super comfy. Anyone else only become really into elasticated waistbands at like 35 plus? Because I used to think they were dreadful and I hated them, and now I'm like, has it got elastic in? Great, I'm having it. But I rather like these because I think it's quite a versatile pattern. Have bought the pattern already, haven't cut it out, haven't looked at the pattern pieces or the instructions or anything yet. But from the pattern pictures and the example, like sample pictures of stuff that's been made, the waistband looks quite tidy, even though it's elasticated all the way around. I really like the sort of standout patch type pockets on the front and on the back. Love a back patch pocket because that's where I put my phone. And they've got a sort of like workman style detail with that kind of like hammer loop thing on one side. But of course you can omit that. You don't have to sew it with that. So I thought for a kind of more slightly smarter looking trouser, I could just not do it with that. And perhaps just do all of the like top stitching for those pockets and things in a colour that matches the fabric, so it's quite subtle. And I was a very good girl when I ordered the fabric. I got them to send a thread that matched all these fabrics. So I've got a couple of options there. What do you think? Which one do you like? Which one should I make? Because I can't decide and I need some trousers. So I think that's about all I've got to say in this very first edition of the Sew and Knit Cast. Is that what we're calling it? Kind of a podcast, kind of a sew and tell. Sew and Knit Cast, we'll go for that. I hope you liked it. If anybody is watching this at all and you fancy chucking a comment down there, let me know how I did. Let me know about what you're working on. Let me know about your ends not getting woven in disasters that just need to be finished now. And we can have a chat in the comments. Like the video, apparently that helps with this YouTube thing. And please subscribe to the channel because I've actually really enjoyed this and I would like to do some more, and it'd be nice if I knew that people were watching. So enjoy your making and creating, sewing, knitting, crafting, and I'll see you next time.